Now, boom. Here I go. I'm doing another one. I'm doing 3 right in a row. I got the leather jacket on. It's a rainy day. Everything is about to wash away, so I said, hell, I'll wear my hitman jacket and my little turtleneck with the thing coming down, and I got my black glasses and my black ring, and I'm going to talk to you about a real sweet boy. This guy is a sweetheart, and this guy is the guy known as Paul McCartney, and Paul McCartney, man, and he's of the Beatles, and I want to tell you about this. Now, many of you may know that Lennon and McCartney wrote that way. Whatever they wrote, whether they wrote one line or everything, they just automatically put Lennon McCartney. This was the stamp, this was the brand name, this was the trademark, anything they wrote. But it also was a fact that on a lot of these songs, they wouldn't contribute equally. Let's say 50-50. I mean, one would do 70 or 80%. The other one would do 20 or 30%. But they still always just automatically said Lennon McCartney, Lennon McCartney. So about maybe 10 or 15 years ago, this boy, who's still alive, by the way, his partner isn't. His partner isn't alive to speak up for himself now. But this one that's still alive, Paul, he had a good idea. He said, on the songs where he wrote the most, let's say 70 or 80%, like Yesterday probably, he'd say I did 80, 90% of that. He wanted to go back and change history and say, from now on the ones I primarily wrote, we're going to change that and say McCartney, Lennon. Now, I don't know about you, but to do that, especially in wake of the fact that your partner is dead now, I think is just despicable. Completely despicable. And Paul, I'd be happy to tell you that to your face, but I know I won't see you, say the least. But it's like, I made a couple of notes here, but when George and Ringo heard that, they just started laughing, because they knew about McCartney's egomaniacal, megalomaniac ego. And so they just said, no, go buy me a cup of coffee and get lost. But it'd be like, in another tape I was talking about Lou Costello, Abbott and Costello. It'd be like old Lou, let's say Abbott died first. It'd be like Lou coming along and saying, well, now, I'm really the star. I contributed more, so why don't we change the film credits and say, instead of Abbott and Costello, let's just call it Costello and Abbott. And, Abbott's dead, so, screw him. I want it to be Costello and Abbott. Or, get this one, and this is the one that I really want to put out there so you understand the situation. There is a guy by the name of Jerry Lewis. Now, I don't know Jerry, but I know people that do know him. Quite a few, actually. Some of them were like, stage guys. Other of them were, technical people, like assistant directors. Nobody big. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying I knew people who worked with him around in Hollywood. And they told me that without a doubt, Jerry Lewis had the most sick, egomaniacal personality they've ever seen. I mean, if he wasn't a star, he should have been locked up somewhere. I mean, he was just nuts on this. I mean, he would walk around like, he was whatever. But, even a guy who's an egomaniac like Jerry Lewis, even he didn't come back after Dean Martin died and say, oh, well, Now that Dino's dead, and who cares about Dino, let's retitle all of our movies and call them, instead of Martin and Lewis, let's call them Lewis and Martin. What do you think about that, huh? Seems fair to me. I mean, the guy's dead. Dead men tell no tales. And there's no wind in their sails. And they miss out on sales. And all the tales they tell are sad tales. So that's the thing I just wanted to get across. Even a guy that was really certifiably mad, like Jerry Lewis with his ego, you know, his head is the size of the Rock of Gibraltar. Even he wouldn't think of going back and messing with the titles. But there comes Mr. McCartney, and he wants to change all the ones he wrote, or he says he primarily wrote, and it's now going to be changed from Lennon and McCartney to McCartney and Lennon. Man, I tell you, if Jerry Lewis wouldn't do it, I mean, like, that's the bottom of the barrel right there when it comes to ego. And yet McCartney, of all the people, and I've never heard of this in any other partnership anywhere else in the world, but McCartney had the stones to come along and say, well, let's change the billing on my now dead partner. I could say a lot of things about that, and some of them might be profanity, and you know I'm a good boy. I don't use bad words like that, so I'm just going to say, you think about Mr. McCartney for a while. And I'm going to let it all go at that. Yesterday